Okay, welcome back everyone. Well done on making it this far. I'm sure a lot of you have been looking forward to this moment all week and maybe longer. And to get you warmed up for our traditional closing ceremony, we have a closing keynote, which will be delivered by the great Costin Raiu.
Thank you. Thank you. I want to say big thanks to the Virus Bulletin team who invited me to give this keynote here. I remember seeing Jimmy Kuo a couple of years ago. Please raise your hands if you know Jimmy. All right. A pity that Jimmy is not here this year. We all miss him. And I remember he did a keynote at Virus Bulletin, and during the keynote he said, "This is the peak moment of my career because it's like the greatest honor that I could ever get to deliver a keynote at Virus Bulletin, and I feel honored to be here doing this today for the Virus Bulletin team and for you." So to be honest, I haven't been at Virus Bulletin since about 5 years ago. So about 5 years ago in a country far, far away, how many people remember where Virus Bulletin was 5 years ago? Where was it? Anyone? Vancouver, Canada? Vancouver, Canada. The beautiful photos of Pavel Baudis, some of them. The opening ceremony, maybe some of you remember perhaps some of the live demos from VB 2010. I think that was a moment when we learned that Stuxnet, besides blowing up centrifuges, can also blow up balloons. With Liam Amurci from Symantec, which was a memorable presentation. A few other people, Mikko Hippanen, who is in the audience here with us today, with his 50 copies. All right, and a few other people, some are here, some are not. What was the, let's say, the central point for me, at least in 2010, I was invited to speak about Stuxnet. And this happened because of an accident, because Alex Gostev, who was originally scheduled to speak about Stuxnet, he couldn't get a visa for Canada. So he asked me, "Do you have a visa for Canada?" I said, "Yes, why?" "I want you to go at Virus Bulletin," and he was my boss back then, and to speak about Stuxnet. I said, "Man, why are you doing this to me?" But I went there, and I had this presentation about Stuxnet, and I remember was the moment I walked up the stage, there were 3 guys in the back. And those 3 guys showed up at Virus Bulletin like the moment of the first day, and they paid in cash for the registration. And when Helen asked them, "Where are you guys from?" I think they said mysteriously GOI. And it's up to you how to interpret what GOI means. I remember these 3 guys were sitting at the back of the room, and they were definitely not happy with my presentation about Stuxnet for some reason. So it was quite intimidating to see them back there looking in a very aggressive way at me. So I said, you know, guys, I'm a bit uncomfortable, to be honest, to be here today and speak about this huge thing called Stuxnet because of the huge implications, behind it, the first known cyber weapon and all that. And the reality is that nothing happened during the conference, so everything was fine. I went back home, and I think it was November 28th when I got back home in the evening. So I opened the door, I was with my wife, and we go to our main living room. And on the main living room, on the table, there is a gift, which was this little cube, white cube, which has a message saying, "Take a break." And perhaps coincidentally on the same day, there were news in the media about the fact that 3 of Iran's top Stuxnet researchers were assassinated in Tehran. So I asked my wife, "Well, why did you put the rubber cube on the table?" And she says, "I didn't put it because I was at work all day." And said, "I didn't put it either, so who put the cube on the table?" So you can imagine it's a pretty scary situation. You go into your home and you find a gift like this on the table. And you try to understand, okay, so someone broke into my home and put this on the table. Just so you guys can see it a bit better. And it was quite scary. And to be honest, I understood the message. I said, okay, I'm going to take a break. I got that. The three evil guys in the back managed to convey their message, so I did take a break for a while. So this is how it looks like. If you're wondering what we have been doing the last 5 years, as you can see, 2010 Stuxnet, and there's like not much activity. In 2011, Baldy, who is here in the audience, discovered Stuxnet. Can we have a round of applause for Baldy? Thank you. So Baldy discovered DQ, and I was still taking a break, I tell you, the message was very strong, so I didn't get too involved. But then, with DQ, it was like really so interesting that you couldn't like hold your curiosity. I mean, it's like a very powerful struggle going on. Should I like still take a break, or should I dive into this like new Stuxnet thing in the DQ? And eventually all these arguments in my head, I came to the conclusion of, F it, I'm going to look at DQ. So we started looking at DQ, and then after a while we started looking at other things, and we discovered Flame, and then we discovered Gauss, and then we discovered Mini Flame, and we discovered a few others which are not on the slides here, but then we discovered Mini Duke, Red October, and so on and so on. And what you can see actually from this graphic, from this map of our announcement and discovery is that the amount of announcements has been growing steadily. So we've been publishing more and more stuff, obviously making more and more people unhappy. So I think this is a kind of a trend in the industry that since 2009, the number of APT campaigns exposures has increased considerably. And to be honest, different companies focus on different things. For instance, there are companies out there, let's say certain companies, who will only write about Chinese threats. So they will never write about anything else except Chinese threats. And I think that focusing on one thing makes you blind to the whole picture. And it actually, the moment you do that, you create a distorted view of the real world. And actually, this is a safe path, because I haven't heard of anyone who was harassed after presenting about Chinese threats. So I'm not saying it's not possible, I'm just saying I haven't heard about it. So I'll give you an example. This is the cyber adversaries statistics from CrowdStrike, and it's from 2013. So if you look at their graphics, they say, like, the world situation right now as it is, we have 41 active threat actors that we are tracking, and of those 31 of them are pandas, which is basically China. We have 4 jackals, which as far as I remember is crimeware. We have 2 spiders, which is anonymous, or is the other way around. And then we have 1 kitten, 1 Iranian actor, 1 tiger, 1 Indian actor, and 1 Russian actor, 1 bear, and 1 bat. I don't remember what the bat is, but maybe some of you do. So if you look at the map, it's very easy to think that this is everything that is out there, like the large majority of that is Chinese threats, some anonymous, some hacktivists, 1 Iranian guy, 1 Russian guy, and some, let's say, another Indian guy. But now, this is something that we didn't want to do at Kaspersky. So we actually decided to choose the unsafe path. And we said, like, okay, we're going to analyze everything that comes our way. It doesn't matter where it comes from, we'll just take the unsafe path. So this includes, on one hand, let's say things such as DQ, Stuxnet, Flame, whatever, but also, let's say, Russian-speaking APTs, such as Red October, Black Energy, Mini Duke, Team Spy, Cosmic Duke, and so on and so on. And this is what we have done. And actually, I very strongly believe that we have published about more Russian-targeted attacks than any other security company out there. And if there's some of you who don't believe it, you just check it out. And I think that we have published more about Russian groups than any other company, with us being a Russian company, of course. But at the same time, we wanted to give you like a balanced view of the world, so we published about Careto, which means kind of ugly face in Spanish. We published about Flame and Gauss, whom you probably know where they're like supposedly coming from, Raiu, and most recently about the equation. So, well, of course, that all this research that we have done has brought a bit of unwanted attention to our company. And there's actually quite good proof of that. Here's a top secret document leaked by Snowden from the NSA, and they're talking about our security products, and they're saying, their counterpart in the UK, GCHQ, they're saying personal security products, which is their word for antivirus, such as Kaspersky, continue to pose a challenge to GCHQ's capability, which makes me very proud, because it means that we are probably doing a very good job. And if we, like a small company with 3,000 employees, can stop the malware produced by 30,000 strong intelligence agency with billions of dollars of budget, it means that we are probably doing something right. Well, however, we were not the only company that was targeted by this agency. So here's a few other examples. We have anyone from, let's say, Bitdefender in the audience? We have here my colleagues from Romania. We have anyone from FSB antivirus, whatever that is. That's like a funny product from France. I don't remember seeing FSB antivirus, but this was definitely interesting for GCHQ. Well, anyone from AVG? We can do a round of hands. All right, FProd. I know there's one from FProd here, even if Mikko is not. All right, from FProd. So, to be honest, there is something wrong with this picture. Can you see what is wrong with the picture? Yes, what's wrong? What? It's not an antivirus, it's a personal security. Antivirus is dead, right? I think he's complaining that antivirus is dead. Well, what is wrong, in my opinion? Right, who said that? He said there's no American companies on the slide. So you won't see here McAfee, we won't see here Symantec, which is interesting. It means that only some antivirus companies have this kind of troubles. Other companies do not have this kind of troubles, let's say. But nevertheless, we did have this kind of problems. And I can tell you one of the hardest moments in my life was, I think it was a few days before my birthday, actually, this year. One of my colleagues sent me a message, said, "We have an infection in our company." I said, "Come on." And this was like at midnight. It was something like midnight. He said, "We have an infection in our company." I said, "Well, come on, what happened this time?" One of the secretaries got infected with CryptoLocker because she used her personal laptop. And I said, like, whatever. I ignored him. So I woke up the next morning at 7, and I logged in like in our private Jabber server, and lo and behold, this guy was online. And this guy usually he goes to work at 12 or 1, and this time he was online at 7 a.m. So I said, "Dude, what's wrong? Are you sick? Why are you online at 7 a.m.? Like, it's so unusual for you." And he said, "We have infection in our network. It's something so advanced that we couldn't find a sample yet. There's like no samples anywhere, but the malware is in memory, and it jumps from one computer to another. And it's absolutely crazy because we don't know how it replicates. And it seems to be something really, really advanced. We haven't seen anything like that before." So I said, "Come on, what have you been drinking, man? We haven't seen anything like that before." So then we started looking and looking, and it was like an absolute incredible story. And we couldn't believe our eyes that someone was actually bold enough to target an antivirus company with a virus, well, with a worm, because basically it was spreading in our network as a worm. And they had at least, I think, 1 0 day, but we believe they had at least 3 0 days they used during the infection. It was pretty scary. But nevertheless, we started reversing. We captured the malware, and we found it was actually an updated version of DuQ. And everything came together because we did write a lot about DQ on our page. We wrote about 10 stories about DQ in 2011. So obviously, the people behind DQ didn't take that lightly and decided to retaliate against our company. So what is even more scary is that they left some clues in the code, kind of suggesting that we're watching you, to myself personally. And there's one of the drivers which they used for tunneling into our network had the predefined string Romanian anti-hacker inside. And the moment that a packet with this string came, it would actually translate it into our network. So that was, I would say, pretty wicked. And it got me thinking again about the fact that maybe I should take a break again, or not. So what I'm going to do today, I want to actually judge the arguments, and I believe there is a kind of a war going between intelligence agencies and security companies, and some security companies. And maybe even if you don't know it now, maybe you will know it someday. But I believe that in this fight, there is a quite imbalance. There is quite a big imbalance about what we can do and what they can do. So I will invite one of my colleagues who will actually play the role of the spook. And please welcome Mr. J, the spook. So what we are going to do, we are going to, both of us will give you arguments about what we are doing and how we are doing it and if we're doing it well. And at the end, I'd like you all to vote who is actually winning the war between antivirus companies and the spooks. So let's see who will be like the better man.
Thank you very much,
Mr.
Costin.
All right. So can you go ahead and make your introduction?
Well, do I really need to make my introduction? I mean, everybody here is enjoying quite a bit of job security thanks to our work. So it is my pleasure to be here, but I certainly think that they all know the kinds of things that we are doing. I don't need to say it. You know we're the best. You know we're absolutely the best. We give you guys some of the best malware to work with. But not only that, you get some nice exploits, some ODAs. We've got fiber taps. We employ the best programmers in the world. We've got mathemagicians, as I like to call them. We've got cryptographers everywhere. So if you've got a pesky little cryptographic paradigm, I'm sure that we can just blast through that eventually. Our budgets are unlimited, which I'm sure you've become aware of recently as we keep leveraging all this money. And I think that there's something a little more important there, which is that we're willing to do really whatever we need to do to hit our targets and to make our mark. So at the end of the day, we're just doing our jobs, Costin.
And it's all legal?
Of course it's legal.
It's all legal.
We're government employees, of course it's legal.
All right. So, I can tell you that our budget is limited. So I don't know how many of you guys manage budgets, but my budget has been getting smaller and smaller every year. Costin, we need to save money. Okay, what can I cut? And I can tell you that good researchers are goddamn hard to find. It's becoming harder and harder. I don't know what's going on with the new generation of people, but it's becoming so hard to find good people who can use IDA and reverse engineer or, I don't know. However, I do think that we are having some kind of a success with our cloud technologies, and I think that opened a bunch of new doors to catch the stuff that these guys are writing. And we understand that we know very little. This is, I think, one of the most important things. We realize there's a lot of stuff out there that we don't detect. And we have a very simple goal, which is we just want to protect the people who paid us money to do so.
Seems like a nice goal, I suppose. So why don't we put this side by side? Let's go piece by piece. So I mentioned the ODAs. We do have an unlimited supply of ODAs, and I know that that's the biggest headache out there. Some of them in products close to home, but also, Microsoft, Adobe, Oracle, whatever you guys are using, we can exploit that. If not, we can always, launch for the kernel. We like residing there, getting to do whatever we want there. And at the end of the day, we just need to be successful one time.
Fair enough. Well, to be honest, finding your 0 days is our favorite activity. And we don't just actively hunt for them. I mean, I'm paying bonuses to my guys whenever they find one of your 0 days. So the more 0 days you use, the more happy we are because we'll find them. And that's more likely to catch you because we know that the threat actor that uses 0 day, is at a kind of a different level than the volatile seeder Hezbollah encryption style people. So to be honest, that's true that you have to be successful once, and we have to be successful every time in protecting our users. So I do realize that we have a huge challenge here.
Sounds like I need to start paying your guys some bonuses too. So as far as crypto goes, it's not much of a challenge when we're the ones creating most of the crypto algorithms anyways, and suggesting them and letting companies know and NIST know and everybody else know what they should be using. At the end of the day, if you guys enjoy certificates, that seems to be something that you've wanted to pin your hopes on. We've got certificates too, under a lot of different names, some of them even Microsoft. They're quite nice. And if we can't just, break the crypto, we can always sabotage it. We can add a nice little back door. I like crypto as much as anybody else likes crypto. We just think we should have the best crypto and not you guys.
All right. Oh, the reality is, I think, whenever you guys sign your malware as Microsoft, and that happened with Flame, you subvert some major trust principles, and for years, we've taught our users to use Windows updates. So this will, I think, eventually backfire at some point. And you want to do man-in-the-middle attacks against Windows Update. I think that's very, very bad. And the reality is that, all the elite crypto that you're using, it actually gives away your malware. So if you want to, free advice from my side, if you want to stay under the radar, you just use XOR or base64 like the Hezbollah.
Okay, fair point. I suppose we can start hiding under the radar. As a little bit of maybe some Chinese malware. But while we're speaking of malware, there's a reason that we don't want to just appropriate some of this old stuff. Everybody else is using these open source rats and this mediocre malware. Our malware is the best. I mean, this stuff, there's a reason why you guys find it so entertaining and everybody's making a living off of it. I mean, our stuff is amazing. So not only is the platform amazing, we've got rootkits to hide it. We target some of your security products directly, so we can adapt specifically to your product or to anybody else's product in the room. And we, enjoying hiding as we do, find the most creative ways of doing this. So you want to go in the registry or virtual file systems or raw disks or, I don't know, have you checked the firmware on your hard drive recently?
I don't know. Have you guys checked it? Well, the good news, the bad news is that you cannot check it because there's no API to read the firmware from your hard drives. But anyways, the more you hide, I think the more likely you will trigger an alarm. And we have anti-rootkit technologies. We have technologies that will detect virtual file systems. We have even raw disk access and scanning modules. And to be honest, we were really surprised when we found that firmware module with actuation. That was perhaps one of the biggest surprises. We always knew it was possible, but we didn't imagine it's like a different thing when you hold it in your hand and you say oh my God, this is something possible. And we're still working on that, by the way.
Well, you can work on the malware all you want. You can get all the O days, but you've got to broaden your view sometimes. In our line of business, you have access to a lot more things. So, if we can't hit you directly, we'll hack the ISP. If the ISP is not good enough, we go for the whole country. We've got a nice fleet of satellites. We can just kind of park behind yours if we need to. And I hate to say it, Costin, at the end of the day, if you don't take the right kind of breaks, everyone's just mortal.
Can we just give up? All right, so let's not forget the goal. Did you do something to the Wi-Fi here, by the way? I think it's possible. So to be honest, it's very easy, and I've seen this is a trap. We can't hack this guy, so let's just hack his ISP. We cannot break into this ISP. Let's just intercept the entire country. And I believe that's don't forget what is the goal. So if you're actually going for the bad guys, you don't have to hack my ISP, you don't have to hack the Wi-Fi virus bulletin. Do not forget what is the goal, and I think it's very important not to subvert the trust that people have put already into update mechanisms.
I mean, I guess we could do that. But what we enjoy about the kind of investments that we're doing is that they're multi-use, Costin. I mean, we invest into an amazing platform, and until you guys burn it, selfishly, we can infect anybody with it. We go after Belgicom or Kisketer or Merkel's Aid and terrorists. I mean, everybody wants to go after terrorists, so we go after terrorists. We make these amazing modular platforms we can just kind of keep rebuilding, and you'd be surprised. I mean, you go in there, it's just point and click, it's super nice. And then you make this thing once, you invest once, and you use it as many times as you want. What's wrong with that?
Well, to be honest, when you do that, the moment I find one of your things, I'll find all of them. And we proved that with equation. I mean, we originally found one module, and by simply looking for samples using the same crypto algorithms, we found everything else. So I think it just makes it easier to find everything. And I think the worst thing here is that you don't give me any options. And a lot of people have come to me and complained and said, like, listen, yeah, we are on the offensive side, but we are the good guys here. Do you understand that? You are the good guy. You see? So, and you are actually, protecting bad people like terrorists by just catching our malware with your antivirus product. And to be honest, I think, I'll just give you another friendly advice. As long as you use the same malware on Jean-Jacques Kisketer or Merkel's Aid and terrorists, you give me no option, because the moment I find it on Merkel's Aid computer, I will find it pretty much everywhere, and I'll kick you out of all these terrorist computers that you love so much.
Just protecting terrorists. I don't know. I don't think that you're really seeing the picture here, Costin. I mean, you have access to everything. I mean, when you get into these systems, it's like Christmas for us. Actually, it's getting a little overwhelming, but it's quite nice. It's very exciting. So, you get to collect everything. We get to extract metadata. We generate information from the information that you have on your system. And, obviously we get the screenshots and what everybody else gets, and we can even just take all the internet traffic if we need to and rebuild some of the stuff ourselves. We don't really need it, and we're having trouble storing all of it, but, it's fun.
All right. No, to be honest, I wish I had access to the systems that you have in order to catch more bad guys or good guys. But the reality is the more active your malware is, the higher chances to catch it we have. And we have all sorts of technologies that will catch processes and programs that do suspicious things in your system. And I think that exfiltration has always been a weak point for malware, because the more you collect and the more traffic you do to like weird IP addresses, the higher the chances are that we will catch you. And one thing, and there's a famous saying in the Mossad, which is a curse. When the Mossad people, they want to curse each other, they say, "May we read about you in the newspapers." So I can tell you the same. Maybe we'll read about you in the newspapers because the media loves the numbers. So the moment I can say that the one APT group stole information equaling 1,000 times the size of the Library of Congress, pretty much every journalist will write about that. And I think that you are not going to like it.
I mean, it's not the first time you've done that. So. All right. At least our malware, you can say it's quite interesting. We like the quality stuff. We want to make sure that our money is genuinely going to good use. We make no mistakes. Our code is, the best most of the time. We use only the best crypto, as you mentioned. We use compression. But, we've also got our kernel mode orchestrators. I mean, who's going to, just stick to one executable and have everything done there when you can have these nice little components spread all around the system doing whatever you need to do? And our malware never crashes, so I really don't see how you can complain about what we're doing on these systems.
Okay. Well, I think most of the people here in the Aussie, we're geeks. We are in this business because we like looking at complex stuff, and we like to reverse engineer stuff and taking it apart. So I've seen a very interesting discussion with one guy who used to work in your area, by the way, and someone asked him, like, how do you select the people to hire for your reverse engineering teams? And he said, I'm going to hire anyone who took apart his little toy or robot when he was 6 years old. So if you're one of those guys, and whenever you were getting a present from your family and the first thing was just to take it apart and the family would get upset, like, you know, you ruined the new robot, then probably you're one of those guys who are now working in reverse engineering. And to be honest, nobody loves reverse engineering plug-X samples 5 days a week, which is, I mean, come on, how boring can that be? We want to reverse the best malware out there, and we like to find mistakes. I mean, we completely, I think, destroyed the Duke guys when we published about the mistakes they were making. And of course, when you crash, you raise alarms, and I believe that from that point of view, you can maybe do a better job of QA.
The Duku guys are still upset about that, by the way.
All right, so just some takeaways from our discussion for you guys. I believe that sophistication attracts attention, and as well as hiding attracts attention. So the more sophisticated your malware is, the more stealthy it is, the more likely that we'll find it. And whenever you infect Merkel's aide or when you infect Jean-Jean Kiscater, that will attract attention. And 0 days will attract attention, and crashes will attract attention. And worst of all, mass infections and mass surveillance technologies will always attract attention. And the worst of all, I believe, are the attacks against IT security products. And I believe that attracts like the highest attention. That's like bad, bad, bad. And the moment you go for security companies, you can be sure that you will be caught. So I don't think it's probably unlikely that you'll get away with hitting a security company. And in the end, you have to keep in mind that yes, we're all just mortals here, but we're just doing our jobs, I believe.
Maybe we can find better jobs.
All right. So what we want to do now, now that you guys have heard all these arguments, let's try to see who believes that the spooks are winning, or who believes that the IT security companies have the upper hand in this war. So let's do like a very quick check for the spooks. So who thinks the spooks are winning the war? Raise your hands. Come on.
My people.
All right. All right. That's a bit worrying. So who thinks that the IT security companies are winning the situation nowadays? Oh man, that's disappointing.
We're going to be hiring in the
So
back.
I would say it was like 60% for the spooks and 40% for the AV security industry. Like, I think the most interesting thing here is we did this exercise before. So first of all, we did it at the Spooks conference. At the Spooks conference, the spooks won with 95%. So we did it again at a hackers conference, and the spooks again won with 60%. So we thought we're going to do it with Virus Bulletin and the AV industry will win, but it seems not.
I'm sorry, Costin.
All right. So we want to thank you very much for listening to our speech, and if you still think there's hope for the AV industry, or if you think the war is lost, please feel free to shoot any questions or ideas you may have.
Anyone have any questions they'd like to ask? Or you're all just too stunned?
There's no trees at Virus Bulletin.
Please don't be intimidated. It's fine.
Oh, there's one right at the back there.
Oh my God. There's a question
at
from
the
a spook. There's a question from a spook over here. I saw you raised your both hands for the spooks.
I don't have two hands. How can I raise both?
Let's check it.
Not so much a question, but a comment why I raised my hands when I think the security industry is winning. Because probably the best effect of what you guys did, what other companies have done, and what Ed Snowden has done is is not just the fact that they found a lot of malware and found a lot of bad things happening, but that if you're a spook, you know that there's a reasonable chance that what you're doing is going to be detected. Which means that if you're going to attack, what you told me is a 78-year-old cryptographer in Belgium, next year, then you're going to think twice about that, because you know this will look really embarrassing if they find out. You might still attack Merkel's, infect Merkel's 8, because that's espionage which is as old as humanity. But I think that there's a side effect that people, that spies, while they might be winning technical war, they're still going to be more restricted about what they're going to do, because they know, and if they don't know, their bosses will know that they will have to justify their actions at some point in the future. Or at least there's a good chance they will have to.
All right, thank you. All right, and our favorite spook from Israel is going to ask us a question now.
So it's not so much a question as a comment. I think that, first of all, I like to talk. I think it's an amazing discussion and it should be had. And there's one thing that I think needs to be said, that aside from the damages that whatever the spooks do actually takes place, and you can do all the morality talks about, yes, it's only government and not the regular people. I think the real problem is that once you guys publish that technology, then just criminal people get ideas. So we have technology doing a lot of proliferation, which is maybe another reason why spooks need to be more careful, because at the end of the day, it's not just government fighting other governments or governments fighting big corporations, because the criminals are using the new tricks that they learn from the spooks against people like my dad, and that's a problem.
Yeah, I think a very good point. So to be honest, this is, I think, why a lot of companies have stopped sharing 0 days. And I think the best example is the DoQ 0 day. And I think Baldy had a sample of that 0 day. We had a sample, and for the reason it was so powerful and dangerous, we didn't share it with anyone, I mean, except Microsoft, in order to fix it. But nevertheless, the bad guys reverse engineered the patch, and about 1 year later, it was the most popular 0 day in the wild. So I think even if we don't write about it, sooner or later, if that comes out through a patch, the bad guys will still find ways to reverse engineer and use it against pretty much anyone. But thank you for that. Shalom.
We have another question in the back there.
All right, Nick.
Thank you.
Your voice is better?
Yeah.
Doesn't sound like.
It's not a question, it's just a comment about what Inbar said.
All
It
right.
basically boils down to the spooks' parents aren't proud of them.
Thank
I
you.
disagree with that. They think I work at the State Department.
All right. So if no more questions, thank you very much again.
Thanks very much, Costin.
And thanks to Vivi.